about California pot shops owe $1.3 billion in back taxes as panic grows over industry-wide solvency. And this is by Lester Black. San Francisco's Vapor Room Cannabis dispensary has faced plenty of foes since it opened in 2003. It brawled in federal courtrooms with the IRS and was hit during crackdowns by the U.S. Justice Department. But now that weed is legal, it appears the one thing the storied dispensary can't survive is California's legal weed market. The dispensary is at risk of going out of business because of $250,000 in tax debt it owes to the state of California, according to founder Martin Olive. He blamed the pot shop's tough financial situation on slumping sales caused by street problems in his Soma neighborhood, as well as high cannabis taxes and penalties from the state. We're at a crunch point now where things are looking more dire than they've ever been, Olive wrote in a LinkedIn post last week, where he called for lenders, credit lines, investors, angels, and/or a miracle to get us out of some critical debt. The Vapor Room's problems come as cannabis businesses across the state struggle to stay alive, with thousands of companies going out of business and taxes going unpaid. The industry owes the state nearly $1.3 billion in late taxes and penalties, according to the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration. High cannabis taxes are frequently blamed for making the state's legal pot industry unsustainable, yet some tax rates are set to move even higher. Come July, the state plans to increase cannabis excise tax by 25%, a prospect that is sending panic across the industry, with some warning that it could be the nail in the coffin for many legal weed businesses. Already teetering on the edge, a tax increase is going to kill us, said Jared Kilo, the owner of the Higher Path dispensary in Los Angeles. You're basically charged more than what you owe. Cannabis companies across California have been struggling for years to stay profitable, thanks in part to an extremely difficult business environment. The costs of running a pots company are astronomically high compared with most businesses, with companies facing expensive regulations, banking fees, and security. Just as costs continue to rise, revenues are also taking a hit as wholesale prices for pot plummet and legal cannabis sales decline year over year. Legal cannabis sales in California have been dropping for the past 3 years, and that's particularly true in San Francisco, where per capita cannabis sales have declined over 34% since 2021. Businesses like the Vapor Room are left squeezed in the middle between rising costs and falling revenue, with no profit left over to survive. Olive says he's prioritized paying his employees and his vendors, which has left him unable to fully pay his state tax bill. That bill has grown even larger because California has a particularly punitive tax law for cannabis businesses. Most companies face a 10% penalty if they don't pay their taxes on time, but cannabis businesses face a 50% penalty if they're late. Olive said the principal he owes is roughly $125,000, a fraction of the total $250,000 billed to the state. Olive said this penalty makes it nearly impossible to get out of tax debt. You're basically charged more than what you owe, Olive said. It compounds, which makes it completely overwhelming to catch up. Olive also blamed problems in his shop's Soma neighborhood, which saw decreased foot traffic after tech workers left the downtown core of San Francisco during the pandemic, and an increase in street disorder filled the void. We've been beset by illicit drug sales outside in our neighborhood, Olive said. There's been a real lack of support in the community. I'm sympathetic to what people are going through with addiction, but it's made it very difficult to operate. Growing problem. The Vapor Room is far from the only pot shop in California that owes the state taxes. Cannabis companies owe the state nearly $1.3 billion in unpaid taxes and penalties as of October 31st, according to data shared with SFGate by the Department of Tax and Fee Administration. The agency said a large portion of that total is due to penalties and interest on unpaid taxes. Industry observers have been saying for years that the industry couldn't support California's tax rates, especially after a 2023 law changed how taxes were calculated and collected. One observer told SFGate at the time that the shift would cause an extinction event, with pot shops unable to pay their taxes and then getting knocked out by the state's mandatory 50% penalty. That extinction event could be unfolding with widespread company failures in recent years, including the largest pot distributor and the largest delivery company in the state, and thousands of pot farms. It's not clear how many pot stores are at risk of closing. The Department of Tax and Fee Administration said it cannot calculate how many cannabis retailers are behind on their taxes because a single taxpayer may have multiple liabilities for one or more periods or for multiple taxes. However, the unpaid tax bills continue to increase. Not including interest and penalties, pot companies owed the state $354 million in taxes on November 18th, which is up from $287 million in back taxes in February of this year. Tax hike coming. Ironically, the tax rates themselves could be partially blamed for the tax man not getting paid. Legal cannabis taxes, which can climb over 40% in some jurisdictions in California, make legal cannabis more expensive than illicit market weed. California's legal market is thriving, and many observers say that's because customers are balking at paying legal prices when they can find cheaper weed outside licensed stores. Kilo, the Los Angeles pot shop owner, said this is particularly true for younger people who will just go to the cheapest price. You have a very nimble demographic in the under 35 demographic that is just one Instagram post away from leaving the legal industry. That problem could get even worse this summer when the state plans to increase the cannabis tax rate from 15% to 19% in July, which will be added to a list of other local and state taxes. Kilo estimated that the increase will push cannabis taxes to over 50% in Los Angeles, where there's an additional 10% sales tax. Kilo said that would be the tipping point that will destroy even more legal businesses. For Olive, it's not clear if he can hold on to his vapor room until this summer. He is organizing an auction to raise funds to keep his shop alive while he negotiates with the state to try to get on a tax payment plan. Oh yeah, I mean it's a major issue in the industry. Like we were talking about earlier, you know, the tax regime is completely unsustainable. We think today the illegal market is probably 4 to 5x what it is the legal market in California, simply because the prices are so much cheaper without all the taxes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, this is rough, and you know the retail side is the part that's the hardest part to navigate with 280E, as far as write-offs and whatnot. You can mitigate a lot of your 280E exposure if you're cultivation or distribution, manufacturing or whatnot, but it is rough on retail, and Vapor Room being a standalone shop, it makes it even harder for them to offset their liabilities with 280E. But I wonder if this is pointing to a bigger problem, because what is the state going to do if people can't pay their taxes? Right. And then the only thing that they have the ability to do is to revoke their licenses. And then all of a sudden there's already a lack of retail establishments throughout California because of the League of Cities and whatnot and their prohibition on retail establishments. And this to me, I think, is probably like the big Achilles heel that is gonna really tackle the cannabis space.
I mean, they have other options, right, Jason? So they have the ability to do till tap, right? So they come in and take every piece of cash, every amount of money that you have on your property, and then charge you for the CHP coming and doing it. They can revoke your seller's permit. There are a lot of things up to it, including taking their
but if they do that, license. But if they revoke your seller's permit, that default is basically taking your license, because you fall out of compliance at that point, and therefore. So
the way that typically works is they don't just go straight to taking the seller's permit, right? There are hearings that happen at the CDFA.
That's not what happened to me.
Try to get it. Well, I'm sorry, that's not what happened to you. You should have paid your taxes. But
not really how it works.
What could have happened? I'm quite cool, because I've gotten clients through this situation before, right? So we've had multiple meetings with the CDTFA. They don't give a shit necessarily that they get all their money at once. They want their fucking money, and they want to know that you intend to pay them their money, right? So if they're like, hey, jackass, I'm going to smack you on the ass in 3 weeks. I'm going to smack you on the ass in 3 weeks. Don't be surprised if I come up to you, Jason, in 3 weeks and I smack you on your ass.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
I feel you.
That happen.
I feel you. I mean, I've experienced a till tap. I mean, we even saw the Jungle Boys experience a till tap, and they tried to promote it as the fact that they were getting raided on social media, when that wasn't the case. It was just simply a till tap.
Oh, they were shooketh down for the money that they owedeth.
Yep, sorry. Exactly.
My bad, dog. And yeah, our taxes are way too fucking high, and throw on that little 2% on gross that you get in LA County too. So I mean, whatever. But at the end of the day, y'all, call somebody who knows how to make a fucking payment plan with these people.
But here's the thing, though, is even if you make a payment plan, it doesn't mean necessarily that you're going to have the money to stay in good standing on that payment plan when because every sale that you make, you incur more tax liability, Jenny
and
Beth.
You know what I'm about to say, right, Jason?
What are you going to say, Jenny Beth? Something good?
Every sale you fucking make comes with a receipt that shows where the taxes were charged to the fucking customer. It's your job to remit those to the state.
I know. It's just
so
expensive.
Cry me a tax fucking river.
It's expensive to do business in California. It is very, very expensive.
It's the price of having 28 years of regulation in the state of California. It's just been, operators are being really, it's expensively taxed there. And
28 years of regulation. We've only had regulation since 2018.
Well, but you guys have had cannabis since
we had a free and open market.
Okay, so
prior to that.
I would agree with Jason. I would say that we necessarily had 28 years of regulation. We definitely had. That's why I call 215 the permission slip, and 64 was get your ass on the porch by 6 p.m. Don't do this, don't do that. The actual regulation, right? So like the taxes and the medical side, when people were caregivers and having these medical shops where they had miles of cash around them and wrapping and shit, was definitely not regulated.
Yeah, taxes didn't even start in California till 2007, when the State Board of Equalization, which is now known as the CDFTA, said that you are responsible for your paying sales tax on cannabis, and they also double backed on that, and they said that if you have been open prior to that, you are also responsible for your back taxes from the date of inception. So they made it retroactive from your date of inception, which caused a lot of dispensaries, a lot of pre-existing dispensaries, to have some serious problems with that. I mean, I know they were coming after me for $1.8 million in back owed sales taxes from that time. So,
well, we see clients from California that market with us in our publications here, but it's always the hemp side. They're targeting into Texas from the hemp side, and then I've got friends from California that have opened up businesses in the last 5-6 years into the hemp space here in Texas, that some of them got out of California just kind of right at the right time for them, because the regulatory issues were just such a challenge for them. So some of them jumped and sold businesses in cannabis and then navigated into the hemp market here in the Lone Star State. So it's tough over there.
I mean, Jordan, do you guys have anything like any? You guys do any financial raises for people that just need to pay their taxes? Because there's a lot of people that need some money just to pay their taxes, bro.
No, not specifically for that, but we have looked at aggregators of retail stores, right? And I think there are a lot of single operators, or maybe have a couple dispensaries that would be willing to turn over the keys just to have someone else take over their tax bill. So I do think for folks who do have fresh capital coming into this space, there are a lot of distressed opportunities out there.
Fair enough. You have anything you want to throw in on this, Jess, before we move on? You're on mute, Jess. You're on mute.
Apologies.
There we go. There you go. Now we hear you, buddy.
It's sad. It's sad that California is killing its golden goose.
It is, right?
So many companies. I have hundreds of friends who have been put through this. I mean, people on this stage have been put through this, and it's really rough when you've gone through it for 20 years and they hitting you again and hitting you again and hitting you again. You're just trying to stay above water. It's terrifyingly sad.
Yeah, it's like Mike Tyson's Punch Out being Glass Jaw Joe versus Mike Tyson, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, here's the issue, right? We're not the fucking golden goose. And we've pushed through these legislation, we've pushed through these regulatory whatevers because we're supposed to be the fucking golden goose and the salvation of all these failing fucking governments and this ridiculous overspending.
But
the city of LA hold on. The city of LA is fucking bankrupt. Thank you, Karen Bass. And you know what?
Trash.
We have a higher cannabis tax in LA than anywhere else. You know why these funds don't fucking help? Do you know why we're not the golden goose? Because we go to the fucking general fund, which is the fucking police and special interests.
Yep.
So this is not like we have to quit pushing through legislation based on the fact that our cannabis tax is going to save your fucking overspending ass, because it is not.
Well, and that's not what I mean by golden goose.
No. I know you don't clarify that.
What I mean by it is the fact that, the Emerald Triangle has still today has the best brand for the best weed in the world. Period.
I don't know about that. I thought I did.
Hold on. People around the world when they think of the best weed in the world, they literally think of California. And if they have any knowledge at all, they think Humboldt, probably Humboldt first. I don't know about all that,
but that's cute.
Dude, trust me, if you go anywhere in the world, go to Europe and say, where's the best weed in America? And they'll say California. Yep. And if they know something, they'll say Humboldt. So that's just the way that it is. That's the way the branding has played out. And that is a huge golden goose opportunity for California to continue that attraction and bring people from around the world. Whether it doesn't matter where the best weed in the world actually ends up being, in LA or in California in the woods. The fight can go on. That's fine. They should own the fact that they have the best weed in the world and be bringing tourists from all over the world to come and try it. Mm-hmm. And they're missing that huge golden goose opportunity by regulating everything down and not allowing any kind of farmers market sales or any kind of farm tours. Like, everything is so hard that it just kills that opportunity completely. It's a much bigger economic opportunity than just selling the weed.
And shout out to the National Disgrace. He says, nah, SFV had better weed than Humboldt at one time, bro, in my opinion. The SFV,
100%.
Shout out to the San Fernando
Valley.
That's right. Get your weed from the valley. And
the best weed I've ever smoked personally came from the hill in the middle of nowhere.
It came from me.
Not,
it's
bro.
true. It's all right, Jesse. You can be in denial all you want.
That was right up there, very close.
On that